says, what is YEAR? Well, YEAR stands for something. It stands for Youth Empowerment Against HIV/AIDS. YEAR was being run in my spare time as best as I could. It was a solo project for a long time. So, because I felt, because I had a personal connection to AIDS, I wanted to share my information and all my experiences. And, as I was doing more and more talks to schools and other things like that, I saw an avenue to perhaps create something beyond one individual, but to try to create some sort of a foundation where, long after maybe I'm not doing this, it would fill that gap that I saw was there, which was, how do we talk to young kids about the issues of HIV and AIDS? I have been around the AIDS community for so long, since, sort of the late 80s, and had grown sick and tired of travelling overseas to advocate the message that HIV/AIDS is an issue for everybody, for all people. I would go off and work with young people overseas, sort of trying to educate them about AIDS, and then I'd come home and go back to my normal life and studying other bits and pieces and thinking, why is there not some sort of foundation or a network in Australia that values the idea that AIDS is something we need to be talking about publicly?
My role in YEAR is the Director and Coordinator of YEAR in New South Wales. We're based in Sydney. I got involved with the AIDS cause because of my uncle Bill, who died of AIDS in 1995. After that happened, I became reasonably involved to quite a reasonable level, I guess. As a school student, getting involved with charities, doing World AIDS Day appeals, things like that. I was eventually asked by a subgroup of the United Nations called the World Youth Peace Summit to be their spokesperson for HIV and AIDS-related issues. And they sent me to conferences ranging from Bosnia to Thailand, even New York at the UN there, where I sort of either gave a talk or attended or participated in some kind of way. And that's where I met Alicia, who started YEAR. I met her in Bangkok at the 15th International AIDS Conference, and we just found each other in this lecture one day, and we were both kind of asking questions to this board who were presenting this kind of talk. It was more or less a youth forum, and both went up to each other straight away afterwards and went, hey, we've really got to talk. We swapped cards, and she told me what she was doing. I thought, it's a fantastic idea.
People put AIDS automatically in the true life basket. I mean, even the sound of the word or the appearance of the word written AIDS, capital AIDS, freaks people out.
AIDS is actually very much about life. It challenges our view of separateness from each other, and it reveals the deeper reality of our interconnectedness to each other.
The really simple fact is we know how it's spread, we know how it's transmitted, and we know how to prevent that. And in focusing on prevention and education, you hopefully start to reduce, the spread of this disease. And two, by educating people and making people aware of the fact that, it's a really horrible, ugly disease, but you don't have to be so scared of it that it's a hands-off issue.
YEAR is very concerned, our organisation is very concerned with the development of self-worth and conscious choice with health in the Australian community.
Yeah, it's more or less a two-pronged approach. One prong being education. We want to have a focus in schools and in just the community in general. The other prong is we want to launch awareness campaigns, mainly done through events. So we want to incorporate the arts, music, acting, theatre, art itself, things like that, and use that as a way to express and get AIDS back, the whole message actually, and get that back out there into the public awareness, so that we're breaking down that stigma which is still attached.
Well, let's face it, there's a bit of community fatigue with the fact that there's 1,001 organisations out there that are all for good causes. And every time you turn on the television, there's another ad or something telling you to buy a different coloured ribbon or get involved and support. And we thought, no, we're not going to launch our organisation with a benefit gig. we're going to launch it with an art exhibition. And by doing that, we wanted to encourage artists from all walks of life, because artists in themselves make up part of the world we live in. We want to give AIDS a context, because for so many years, since, you know, some of you might remember back in the 80s and the campaigns that ran back then, is we want to give it a context in which to sit, and it is part of the world we live in.
The most important thing that I often say if I still go out and do talks in schools is, you know, when people are asking me about, and so what events are coming up, you know, what's on, how can we get involved? And I say, well, the feedback from the community is actually just as important. You want to have a concert, you know, at your school where we bring a couple of schools together and we use the Oval and we have a concert there, or what is it? What's going to appeal to you?
Young people are deeply heartened, and they know it anyway. They know their connectedness to their mate or to their friends or in life, and I think that what disconnects them has been generations and generations that haven't recognised that. You don't have to get on a plane and fly to Africa and hold a dying baby in your arms. Somebody has to. And those people are at a point in themselves and they're called to it and they're doing that work. And the other individuals in the community don't need to feel like the death of the third world or the invasion of their free flow in their intimacy needs to be you know, burdened by an overarching sense of pressure. Responsibility is just to turn to it and to look it in the face and to take a little manageable bit that's meaningful to you, that's achievable for you, and to accomplish it.